King Charles has just got his revenge on Meghan Markle on his state tour of the USA. And this is so beautiful. No one has worked out the inside story either, but I will tell you what this meeting with Martha Stewart means in just one moment. First, though, Prince Harry and Meghan Markle, of course, are doing their best to ambush this tour. I think it is absolutely revolting. Briefing People magazine a whole load of complete baloney in order to push Charles off that magazine cover. So what did Charles have to do? Well, as he and Queen Camilla arrived in New York City for what was a star-studded 24 hours, the king decided to invite not Ms. Markle, but rather one of her biggest enemies in the lifestyle world, Martha Stewart. Now, you will remember, I'm sure, the background between Martha and Meghan Markle in terms of that one-pot pasta recipe, which Meghan stole, let's just be honest about it, which she stole from Martha without any credit whatsoever for the first series of her With Love Meghan on Netflix, forcing Martha to update the original recipe to say the original and the best. Well, last night, Martha Stewart got the big invite to go and see the king, and she was loving it.
Martha, are you going with Charles, with King Charles over with Chuck? Oh, I love that. Look how cool you are. Not Charles, but Chuck.
And he looks great, Charles.
Yes, he does.
Charles looks great, and Camilla looks fabulous.
Do you ever give them any house tips, any decorating tips?
They don't need it at all. I need it from them.
Thanks, Martha. Tell us how it is. Ciao.
Anything, the Marchioness of Bath was there as well, but we know what this was about. It was Charles saying, you know what, Meghan, I do this better than you, and you don't call the shots. Martha posting on her Instagram, despite the myriad problems facing the world and the rigours of demanding international travel, His Royal Highness was in excellent humour and form last evening in New York City at a gala dinner for the King's Trust International, his charity supporting young people and their entrepreneurial dreams. And Camilla got her revenge too, actually, by headlining another star-studded event where she attracted the type of A-listers that Meghan Markle could only dream about. Yes, she is walking down the stairs at the New York Public Library with Sarah Jessica Parker, at an event also attended by Anna Wintour. And we will come to all of that in just one moment. But let me bring in royal YouTube sensation P-Dina first on this, because P-Dina, I am shocked that the mainstream media haven't worked out what was going on here. Trust me, this was the most carefully cultivated guest list of the visit. Every celebrity booked was sending a very clear message. Everyone at Buckingham Palace is completely aware of the optics of inviting Martha Stewart, and they did it anyway, because this was Charles getting his revenge on Meghan and Harry, who have, through the whole visit, P-Dina, from Ukraine to this People magazine cover, attempted to ambush it.
Absolutely. And I think when you try to do things like that, it only comes back in your face so hard when you see that Charles and Camilla are able to have relationships with people that Meghan would only dreams of having relationships with. She has been outed and just pushed aside by almost every A-lister, and she can't get any traction behind that. But how seamless it is for the king and Camilla. And it just is, I think, a slap in Meghan's face to see that, here she is trying to make headway with certain people that she can surround herself with, and she just can't do it. But, the real royals can. And it really shows Meghan where her place is. It shows her that She does not have that status that I think she thought she had. But now I think she's feeling more put in her place to see that she is not on the same level, nor will she ever be. This is a great scene to see. The optics are beautiful. And this is exactly what Meghan needs to see. She needs to be put in her place in a way that shows her, sit aside, girl. You don't have anything on the real royals. And I believe she's really feeling it really hard right now because this is beautiful to see, Dan.
Oh, it really is. It really is because, of course, Charles and Camilla really aced it from a political point of view in Washington, D.C. You could argue that was the high stakes moment of the visit, P-Dina. But what they have been able to prove in New York is they still have that cultural cachet. And remember, what Harry and Meghan were attempting to prove when they moved to America was, we're going to take the celebrity stuff. Okay, you can keep the politics. We're going to do the celebrity. But actually, celebrity want proximity to real royalty, not total faking grifters. But there are people, P-Dina, who are furious about this People magazine cover because this has all been officially briefed from Harry and Meghan's side, making their own rules. Well, we know that. And as Meghan's spare put it, anyone shocked at this point, the Timu royals just can't help themselves. We know why this was released today. We know what their intentions were. We know they couldn't stand not being top of the headlines. These two simply cannot function unless they're desperately hogging the spotlight like it's the last oxygen tank on Earth. These two are about as subtle as cellophane. They are just too predictable. And P-Dina, we will go through the extraordinary claims in this article in just one moment. But first, can we just touch on the fact that this article has been released this week at all? What should have been for People magazine, a front cover of Charles and Camilla, Meghan and Harry decided to hijack. And look, I don't think it matters because People is becoming increasingly irrelevant with this propaganda that they keep pumping out. But it does show you just how twisted this couple remain.
Yeah. And you know what it also says, Dan, is Megan always tries to show up as the victim to say people bully me, right? Bully her. And this is exactly how Megan actually does her bullying. She tries to supersede, things that she knows will give her the attention and not give it to the real royals. Megan is a bully and she does it with these things like this. And I just think, people really need to be on to how she actually does things to try to harm real royalty and to take over, news coverage, because that's how she bullies people in a very subtle way that most people won't understand, but we see it clearly. And so, we have to call out Meghan and how she is, because if looking at this article was all Meghan Markle, absolutely. And I don't think even Harry even had a part in it, but that's what Meghan does. She's a bully.
Oh my God, she is. She absolutely is. So, okay, let's get into it because, I have no doubt Meghan has her fingerprints all over it. But what is interesting, P-Dina, is people are actually insisting that they have sources close to Harry too, which makes it very shameful on his part as well. So a source close to Harry insists this idea that he's going against the wishes of the Queen by being half in, half out is nonsense. None of this is being done in the name of the institution. But for some inside palace circles, that overlap remains deeply contentious. Sally Bedell-Smith, who is, of course, very well connected to the palace, says they are pushing the envelope and making it much more difficult for reconciliation to happen. Now, this piece is honestly the worst propaganda I have seen. Like, they talk about how brilliant Harry was in Australia at the memorial and how brilliant Meghan was at the women's shelter. And they quote Kylie Walters of Who magazine, who is the royal correspondent there, saying that people gravitated towards these two. So I'm just setting it up because it shows you how awful really this piece is. However, they do ask, for critics, it raises a broader question about where public service ends and personal branding begins. Yet those close to the couple push back on that characterization because, of course, they are delusional liars. An insider, so this is probably Meghan herself, they're not reliant on Harry's father or taxpayer-funded money. They pay their own bills and make their own money while continuing to support a lot of causes that might otherwise go unseen. It enables them to do what they love doing. Another source adds, they're trying to live their life, raise their children, do meaningful work, and earn a living. But palace insiders that people have spoken to say it is more likely to deepen tensions with the royal family. It won't help Harry's case or promote good relations, says Queen Elizabeth's former press secretary, Elsa Anderson. For Prince William, the issue is especially firm. She says what Harry and Meghan are doing is non-negotiable for William. He wouldn't countenance any acceptance of it. After years of distance, there has been some renewed contact between Harry and his father, People magazine claims. Now, I am very suspect about this. Very suspect. But they do admit that the divide remains most acute with his brother, William, with some questioning whether the rift can ever heal. But then we get the pushback. Those close to the Sussexes, however, describe a more measured reality behind the scenes. Meghan lets Harry lead on all royal matters and dictate what needs to happen, a friend says. But it would never put them at odds. They're on the same team. Says another source. It remains very emotional. Harry and Meghan are both realistic. They're not approaching it with the expectation of a quick resolution. It's about making small, manageable steps and seeing where things land. This remains very important to Harry, with Meghan supportive. And that was interesting to me because that really is the first admittance from Prince Harry that everything that I have been reporting for months and actually a couple of years now is true. He is totally miserable in Montecito and desperately looking for a way to have some type of reconciliation with his friends and family in the United Kingdom, which isn't going to happen. And Meghan has to claim that she's supportive, even though she's caused this entire thing. So it's gaslighting of the highest order. Then Harry and Meghan want to give us some type of insight into what they claim is just this perfect home life in Montecito, because this is trying to push back, of course, on the idea that Harry is miserable, which he is. So they say at-home work is scheduled around school hours. Weekends are for family time. Archie and Lilibet are their life, says a staffer who has worked for the couple since their early days in California. There's a real warmth and sense of normalcy. Now, I found this particularly intriguing, the fact that Harry and Meghan have actually put up staff members to speak to People magazine. This is, of course, because we saw how the chief of staff for Harry was treated by Meghan Markle with that death stare in Australia. So they have to now try and push back, but I don't think it's going to work. They also claim, People magazine also claims, that both Harry and Meghan have built tight-knit circles in Montecito. So they say Harry maintains a close group of friends, many of them fellow dads, because, again, we've heard a lot about Harry's lack of friends in California. But the source says, and this is described as a close source, which can be translated to mean directly from Harry or Meghan, probably via Liam Maguire, their PR dude. He really thrives on those friendships and values that sense of connection. Meanwhile, Meghan keeps a small, loyal group of long-time friends, often meeting for workouts or quiet nights out together. They're very careful about who they allow into their lives, a friend says. That loyalty runs deep. I mean, honestly, I feel like I'm reading a novel here. I'm reading a piece of fiction, because People magazine should actually feel ashamed for publishing this, because they're meant to be a journalistic organization. And we all know that Meghan and Harry have absolutely no loyalty to their friends. But anyway, I will go on because they have quoted one of the friends on the record, Kelly McKee Zadge-Fenn, who will be dumped one day, just like Tyler Perry has been, just like Jessica Mulrooney was. But she says, no matter what Meghan has going on, she always makes time for her friends. She really shows up, and not just when it's easy. And there's a real PR attempt to try and make us feel like we should be supportive or feel sorry for Meghan Markle with sources saying that her resilience is hard won. They both try to focus on staying as positive as possible, says a source, but people forget they're human beings, especially Meghan. There's only so much a person can handle. Still, that same source says their focus remains steady. They wake up every day focused on being the best parents they can be. No matter what comes at them, they pick themselves up and keep moving forward. Well, they're hardly down the mines, are they? I mean, what are they moaning about? What's the issue here? Nearly 8 years after their wedding, Harry and Meghan's bond remains central. Oh, sure. They are the biggest champions of each other. And this is the staffer that they're quoting. The more adversity they face, the more they come together. And then the spin about the business. I mean, remember, there's been virtually no mention here of the fact that they've been dumped by Netflix. But they say Meghan is focused on building as ever into a lasting business. Good luck with that. The brand continues to roll out new products, including a Mother's Day collection featuring candles inspired by the couple's children. It is still in test and learn mode, says the close source. Okay, again, at least there's some honesty there. But the problem is, you shouldn't be testing and learning. You had one of the biggest companies in the world behind you. You fucked it up. Anyway, the source goes on to say, she wakes up thinking about new ideas and works on it all the time. While reports, and this is when you come to the real Goebbels like propaganda, while reports of high staff turnover have raised questions about the couple's working environment, others who remain describe a different experience. Okay, so the people are lying to Vanity Fair. The people were lying to Jason Knauf. The people are lying to The Hollywood Reporter. They're just making up the fact that they've had to go into rehab as a result of Meghan's treatment. And by the way, when we see her treating people terribly on camera, it must just be a very unlucky moment, okay? There are quite a few of us who have been here a long time, says one 6-year staffer. Much of her company is made up of young women, and she really champions them. She's always said to me, just speak up. That's one of her biggest things. What about the PAs who spoke up and had their life ruined? Please. Those close to the couple, this is People magazine going on, believe their trip to Australia set a new blueprint. The late Queen herself once recognised the positive effect Harry and Meghan could have across the Commonwealth, and supporters say their influence has not disappeared. They're very aware of the impact their presence can have, says the longtime staffer. And then the propagandist for Who magazine, Walters adds a lot is forgiven. When you're on the ground and you show up and do good work, that magic and allure of royalty doesn't necessarily come down to a title. Keep telling yourself that. P-Dina, you can tell it's not just the timing of this piece of propaganda. I mean, they are going there on everything. Like they're trying to address it all. Are you buying what they're selling?
Lies, delusion, perpetration, fraud, all of it.
Oh, yeah.
It's nonsense. This woman, I don't know what is in her head. She just is all over the place trying to paint pretty pictures and make herself like she is this lovable, all things are going well. Harry's got his friends. I got my, well, where are the pictures? I would think if these were the things that were happening, we would have seen something in her social media with these people. Like Meghan has no friends. Harry has no friends. Okay, the friends Meghan does have, like these are the same recycled people that we see over and over again. She doesn't have any new people that are in her life that is showing her, great Montecito. What I've heard is that no one ever sees them in Montecito. Meghan is at a point now where all she can do is make up things and put them in these magazines because that has to be how she wants her reality to be, because it can't be the real thing. There's nothing that is a substance with Meghan. It's all fantasy and her just trying to paint something that isn't there. That's her model. That's what she does. Even with her family and things that she did with her wedding, Meghan is at a level now that it's only going to continue to just go down and down and down with her. If she can't have a good thing with Netflix, look, girl, you are done. And you are just trying to stay above the water. You're trying not to drown in all of the failure. And so she has to do this to make herself feel like it's all going well. Harry knows it's not. Harry wants to be gone and out of there. They are not aligned in purpose. Harry is trying to reunite with his family. So keep trying to make it seem like all is well, because we know it is not. And the sooner Harry wakes up to his new reality, the better off he'll be. But he is living in complete misery right now because this woman has lost her ever-loving mind talking about this nonsense in this article. It is shameful. We've heard the counter to all of the things she said in this magazine, and it certainly is not aligned with what she is saying in this magazine, okay? It is the complete opposite, okay? The girl is crazy.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, it is a crazy piece, but like People magazine is absolutely crazy for buying this. And the fact that they decided to publish it this week, actually, People magazine used to have a lot of royalists really supporting them as a title. Well, I'm sorry, the fact that they have decided to post this nonsense on their cover rather than a historic image, P-Dina, of, for example, the Queen and Melania with the King and Trump, that will harm them, I believe. This was not the week. This was not the week. I did want to have a little chat to you about Camilla's role in this tour to P-Dina, because we heard her follow her husband in New York overnight and deliver some of her trademark humor. And we don't hear from Camilla very often, do we? So I really enjoyed this. She made a joke about the differences between the American and the English languages. Watch.
Huge pleasure to be with you all today at the New York Public Library, one of the world's greatest libraries and somewhere I've always wanted to visit. Now, it was exactly 85 years ago a kind of cultural exchange took place when the British journalist Alistair Cook fell in love with the city and became a citizen of the United States. For 58 years, he hosted the radio program, Letter from America, with the aim of explaining American life to a British audience. He did much to deepen precious friendship between our two countries, perhaps because, as he said of himself, after all these years in America, I've become bilingual.
She's done well, hasn't she, P-Dina? Because she's not used to that. And this was not a role that she ever necessarily expected to have. But again, when you see the celebrities who actually chose to be there with her, and it's not just celebrities as well, very important people from all walks of life were there. But obviously, we do look immediately to the celebrities. And did you note, P-Dina, that Anna Wintour removed her sunglasses? She doesn't do that very often, but she did it for the late Queen Elizabeth II when she went to investiture, and she's done it here for Camilla. That shows the level of respect, right?
Absolutely. And it shows how comfortable she is with Camilla, because that's when she usually removes her glasses. And it shows how just, comfortable and well received that she feels, being with Camilla. And it's really nice to see that the relationships that would normally be there for someone like a Meghan to help her with her career, they're just seamless relationships here with a real royalty. And I just love to see it because it's the authentic side of everything that we're seeing. Like it's not, perpetrating, trying to look like, oh, so and so. Like these are real relationships that come together when this caliber of people are together. It is to be expected. And so it's nice to see it happening. And I'm just really thrilled to see the warm reception that they have received and how well everything is going. And it's been a very nice, memorable time to have real royalty in America, showing us Americans what it's really like to be amongst real royals and not those that want to pretend royal.
Oh indeed, it has been quite a week. And I think, P-Dina, a lot of people were trying to say, oh, the royal family's over and there's not going to be any excitement. No, No. They proved quite the opposite. And in some ways, I think Harry and Meghan timed Australia so badly because they're trying to say that's a royal tour. No, this is a royal tour. This is how you do royalty. Like it was chalk and cheese.
Let me tell you something the mainstream media is completely missing about this New York trip. While Meghan Markle is somewhere in California refreshing her Instagram analytics, and Harry is doing whatever Harry does these days, King Charles and Queen Camilla just pulled off one of the most calculated, elegant acts of royal counter-programming we have ever seen. And they didn't need a Netflix camera crew to do it. Martha Stewart. Of all the names to come up in a royal drama story, Martha Stewart. But here's why this matters, and why you need to pay attention. Martha Stewart is specifically the kind of American cultural icon that Meghan spent years trying to position herself alongside. The self-made brand builder. The lifestyle authority. The woman who defines taste for an entire generation of Americans. And who is standing shoulder to shoulder with the King and Queen of England in New York City. Not Meghan. Martha. This wasn't an accident. Royal visits at this level don't have accidents. Every handshake, every dinner guest, every photo opportunity goes through layers of planning. Someone, and I want you to think carefully about who, made a deliberate choice to put Martha Stewart in that room. That choice sent a message louder than any press release Meghan's team could ever draft. Here's my hot take that nobody else is saying directly. This U.S. state visit is the most sophisticated reputation rehabilitation tour the palace has executed in a decade, and it's dressed up as diplomacy. Charles and Camilla are doing something brilliant. They're not attacking Harry and Meghan. They're not briefing against them. They are simply being visible, warm, and beloved on American soil. The very soil that Harry and Meghan treated like their personal kingdom. America was supposed to be Meghan's territory, her home turf, her advantage. But the palace just walked into New York, the most influential city on the planet, and said, "We're welcome here too. Actually, we might be more welcome than you think." SJP, Sarah Jessica Parker, attending alongside Martha Stewart? That's not a celebrity cameo. That is a cultural statement. These are women of substance, achievement, and genuine American prestige. And they chose the crown. Now let's talk about what isn't being said. Where is the Sussex response to all of this? Where is the carefully timed lifestyle drop, the podcast clip, the Instagram moment designed to steal the news cycle? The silence is deafening. And in PR terms, silence during a rival's peak moment is the worst possible outcome. Every photo of Charles laughing with New York's elite is a photo that crowds Meghan out of the cultural conversation she has spent millions trying to dominate. Every warm headline about the royals in America is a headline that makes the Sussex narrative, "We left because the institution was toxic and racist," harder to sell to a new audience. You cannot claim the monarchy destroyed you while the monarchy is having the time of its life in your backyard. I'm going to say what other royal commentators won't say plainly. Meghan Markle fundamentally misjudged America. She assumed that celebrity culture, victim narratives, and brand deals would be enough to build an unshakable power base. She assumed that Americans would eventually turn on the royal family the same way she did. That has not happened. What's happened instead is that the British monarchy, ancient, traditional, and supposedly out of touch, has proven to be more emotionally resilient and more broadly admired in America than Meghan's entire post-royal reinvention. And Charles, who was written off by half the commentariat as an unpopular transitional king, is now commanding state visit energy in Manhattan while his daughter-in-law's American dream quietly loses altitude. That is a stunning reversal of fortune, and it happened not through revenge in the traditional sense, but through something far more powerful. Simply continuing to exist at the highest level. But here's the question I want to leave you with, and I want you to drop your answer in the comments right now. If this New York visit proves that the royal family doesn't need Harry and Meghan to have a successful American presence, what leverage do Harry and Meghan actually have left? Because from where I'm standing, the clock isn't just ticking on their relevance. It may have already stopped. Drop your thoughts below. Do you think Charles planned this? Or was the timing just perfect coincidence? I read every comment.